PGA European Tour is brought to you by Volvo.
The superb Loch Lomond, the fine sunlight that gilded its waters, the silvery rocks that skirted its shores, the flowery and verdant mosses, the black oxen, the white sheep, the shepherds beneath the pines. The words of Foya Saint-Fond during a trip to the Bonnie Banks in 1784. No golf course then, naturally, but if anything, this Tom Weiskopf masterpiece is added to the majesty of this idyllic place. And Thomas Bjorn mastering it over the first 3 rounds, that birdie at 13 on the way to a 68 yesterday. Jean van der Velde, he holed his putt for a birdie at the 54th hole, and those two players tied 3 shots clear at 6 under par at the end of 3 rounds. So the Frenchman and the Great Dane Bjorn, the winner of the Challenge Tour last season. Robert Allenby was back on 2 under par with Colin Montgomery on 1 under, and just those 4 players breaking par on this very, very tough layout indeed. Tom Weiskopf has done a great job here. The best of his 26 designs so far, he says. My name is Mark Robson, with you live here from the Loch Lomond Golf Club for the next 2 hours or so. And there's your current leaderboard. Thomas Bjorn of Denmark, 6 under par after 12 holes. Level par for his round today, out in level par, and holding things together very well indeed. Van der Velde has dropped just 1 shot, and he's now a shot behind. But some big names on that leaderboard. So Bjorn. Watched him on the practice ground this morning. He hit a few twitchy ones, pulled a few tee shots, and obviously nervous. And that really is a great shot from Bjorn. This par 5 13th. I think the pin was placed by the Spanish Inquisition. It's cut very tight to the right-hand side, but of course it is a par 5. Up on the 18th. Mark McNulty for a birdie. This will be reasonably slippery down the slope, and he's played well today. McNulty out in 33 birdies at 7, 8 and 9. And you can see how fast that putt is. Looks like a certain par 4 for Mark McNulty. Great round today. Jose Casiri's the best score so far, a 67. Now Jonathan Lomas, he's making a bit of a charge. This for a par at the drivable 14th, par 4. May feel like a shot drop, but of course yesterday with everything here from a 2 to a 6. So Mark McNulty, winner of the Dimension Data and also the Dutch Open. Round in 69. Drop shot at 17 may be costly at the end of the day, but 2 under par, and that sets the target. Jimmy Spence, who led after round 1 with a 67. And he catches the bunker, which is maybe just as well because there's a burn to the left short there, which has caught quite a few balls in the last 2 days. This 14th hole now, probably the most exciting hole of the course, par 4, 244 yards to drive it, and a lot of the players going for it. 15th, Lomas, left side is perfect. Oh, and that, well, he's really caught that one. That's an error. It's 281 to reach that bunker. And there's no advantage really being that far up the fairway. 20 yards further back would have done rightly. Now big Darren Clark. Up and down sort of tournament, and that's an understatement for Darren. He was 7 under at one point. Green's running fast and through in excellent condition. all week, 11 on the stimp meter, approximately. The 15th hole, 415 yards. Your line is down the left-hand side, just short of that bunker. And the pin today is tucked behind that right-hand trap in a pretty difficult position. About 5 paces on over the top lip of that bunker. So Bjorn now out on his own, 1 shot clear of Jean van der Velde. Jonathan Lomas, he's bunkered though at 15. Robert Allenby has moved to 3 under par, just 3 shots behind the Australian. And Monty, well, he's going to pick up another big check in his quest to win the Order of Merit for the 4th year in a row. Van der Velde. Jean van der Velde, who has played the best golf of anybody in the field after day 1. He opened with a 75 and then 65, 67. Peter O'Malley, who was highly critical of the pin placements on the 2nd day, he said that somebody should be sacked. Typical Australian understatement. Mark McNulty, well, it says a level par for his total. A good round today, 69, 2 under for his final 18 holes. Now Bjorn, and close at 13. Well, that's a good putt from there. Bjorn has been putting cack-handed since he was a teenager, 13 years of age. And he goes to 7 under with that birdie at the par 5 13th, and only 1 mistake today at the 2nd hole. And really, he's been leading from day 2, and he has shown tremendous composure. Led the Scandinavian Masters after 3 rounds, so he knows what it's like to be at the top of a leaderboard. But he did fall away to 7th spot in that tournament. This time, he's hanging on certainly longer, and can he hang on right to the end? £125,000, the first prize. Now playing with Van der Velde from the bunker to there, and this for a birdie. To stay just 1 shot back. No. And the Dane has a 2-shot lead. Well, they say in match play that 2 up with 5 to play never wins. Will it apply today in stroke play? We shall see. A big cheer from further down the course. This Loch Lomond course spread over a huge area. So a drop shot at the 12th, where again the pin is in a very difficult position, but then again it can be because it's a short iron into the green. Now Lomas, fairly flat trap here, and he's well enough back in it that the front of the bunker won't cause him any problems, or shouldn't. Now the pin just over that bunker on the right, and if he catches this well, of course, he'll get a lot of spin. So he wants to land this towards the middle third of the green. Did he make the contact? Oh, well, that's a good break for Lomas. Very good break. Because it's a tough bunker shot from that trap. It's below the level of the green, and not much room to play with. Steep face on it. Andrew Coulthard at the final hole, 6 over par, and now 5 over. Coulthard has been moaning, well, not moaning, but unhappy in himself with his putting. He hasn't holed too much, certainly in the first 3 rounds, and the irony of it all, finishing with a 74, 5 over par for the tournament. Darren Clark at the 16th. I think he's let it go right. Took the hand off the club, has he? It's not one of his longest tee shots. Maybe didn't catch that one squarely, so we'll have a long second shot in, but from the right-hand side of the fairway, at least it is the best line into the flag. Thomas Bjorn now, 2 shots clear of Jean van der Velde. Holes running out. Loch Lomond, you're watching Stephen Ames ball in the air at the 17th, the par 3 17th. 195 to the flag here today, pin cut at the front, and it's a difficult position. Now Darren Clark at 16, his second shot. Pushed his tee shot away, wasn't a terribly long one, but he's a big hitter, and he's got the burn to carry. And he turns away. It's not too bad, but a long way from the flag. Again, you're watching the 17th. Stephen Ames playing with Nick Faldo. That's the 16th tee. Helensburgh Golf Club are marshalling here. And what a fine job all the marshals have done this week from various clubs close to Loch Lomond. I must say, amongst the most courteous and helpful marshals has ever been my delight to come across at a golf tournament. They have been more than helpful. Now here's Lomas, the man on the charge, made par at 15, having just hopped the bunker from the bunker. And that victory in the Czech Open has given him a lot of confidence. And again, that's the safe side of the fairway. The last place you want to be here is left. The whole dog legs gently left, and it blocks the second shot to the green. Thomas Bjorn at the 14th, and like yesterday, well, he hasn't made a good swing there. It should be okay. If it's far enough to get past the tree, that will be all right. This is the hole where you have the option, the hole called Tom and Jay's Chance. Tom Weiskopf and Jay Morris designed the course. So from the forward tee, you can decide to go left, where Bjorn did with an iron, or you can go right at the flag with the driver. 244-yard carry to the pin, and there's a bunker and a burn and water hazards and bogland away to the right. So you really are taking a risk. Now, Monty is in the marsh, and I wouldn't go in there too far if I was him. Tom Weiskopf made that mistake when designing the course and disappeared up to his chest. Took him 2 hours to get out. Yes, Monty. I wonder, can he hear me?
So where did it cross?
But
We both saw it pitched on here, didn't we?
in the hazard, and he drops the point. The ball crossed into the hazard.
Even further back, right in the corner, you have to move right back.
Montgomery and Allenby in the penultimate match, and this was Bjorn's tee shot at 14. And the first sign today of a little chink in the armour. Good position at the top, but not a good contact, and the ball squirted left and cut almost under the tree, but I think he's all right. It's only a wedge in from where he is. Short par 4. Now Van der Velde, will he show a bit of courage and bravery here? No, he's going down the left side as well with the iron. Understandable. Ricky Willison, the former Walker Cup player from England, he has eagled this hole the last 2 days, both times taking his chance, driving the green, and it paid off for him. And that's what's left. The pin again is cut quite tight to that steep bank. Clark at 16 is third. Not bad. Playing with Barry Lane. Rounds of 69, 74 and 71 for Barry. Another disconsolate looking Montgomery, who felt he had a chance of winning this tournament today if he got off to a fast start, which he didn't really manage to do. Just ahead of Van der Velde and Bjorn. He was 1 under after 5, but that drop shot at 6 halted the momentum. Of course, Monty, being the winner that he is, decided to go for the green off the tee at 14 and is paying quite literally the penalty. Oh my goodness, well that has hit something, obviously. And this is a bit of crazy golf here.
Stay back now, please.
Can only assume it hit somebody on the shoe or caught the edge of the stand, or... Well, it's a funny old game. Clark putting better this week than he has done in recent times, and right in the middle again. Remember, he was 7 under during the second round, and the shots fell away, dropped quite a few shots, but that can happen to anybody here. It's a very, very difficult test of golf. Here's a man who's played tremendous golf this season, Miguel Martin, and iron shots like that have taken him into playoffs at the playoff of the British Masters and into the top 5 of the Irish Open. 430 yards this final hole at Loch Lomond. Thomas Bjorn, 2 shots clear, 5 holes to go. Jonathan Lomas, though, putting the pressure on, as is Allenby. This tournament's certainly not over. Shots can be lost very quickly out here. Lomas is second to 16 and finishes up similar position to Darren Clark, a little bit further left, and well, he's plenty of green to play with. A fairly straightforward pitch and run if the lie's good. Looks very relaxed. Robert Allenby, he too went for the green at 14. Now, that bank that he played the ball into is quite steep, using it to take the sting out of the ball, and he's left himself with a downhill putt on a fast green. But that's for a birdie. And back in the fairway, the tournament leader, winner of the Challenge Tour last season. Didn't make a good contact off the tee, but it was straight enough, and he's in good shape there. Montgomery's challenge, I imagine, has now evaporated after his antics on the 14th. big Scot. In the bunker. Steep bank in the centre of this green to get the ball over. Then he needs to stop it pretty quickly, and he's played a good shot. Clark, 17, 195 to the pin. Cut close to the front. That looked like a good swing. And it's, oh well, it's a wee bit unlucky. You can't believe it. It must have looked so good in the air. Now with Bjorn standing on the fairway watching this, what a moment it would be for Allenby to roll one in, just to keep the pressure on. Look how fast that is. He just touched it. Left a lot of putts short yesterday, but it was almost impossible to leave that one short. Three wins this season. Par 4 for the Australian. Birdie at the 9th. As Bjorn prepares to play his second to 14. We nip forward a couple of holes to Jonathan Lomas. He's 3 under on the leaderboard. He's 4 under on that caption. Leaves himself with a similar putt to Clark's, slightly longer. It's a pretty fair golf course, this. Good shots are definitely rewarded, bad ones are definitely punished, and Colin Montgomery, having pushed his tee shot right, is severely punished at a hole that he was trying to make 2 at, and it's a double bogey. We've seen that happen a lot this week. So it's looking even better for Thomas Bjorn. So at Loch Lomond, the final round of the World Invitational. Jan van der Velde sent his caddy up to the green to check the yardage to the inch. But that's his ball you're looking at. Left it a bit short. Landed on the green, spun back into that heavy fringe. And luckily for Jan, they haven't cut that heavy fringe because it's a steep bank down to a watery grave. Lomas for a par at 16. Big putt. No. Shot dropped. It's looking better and better for the Dane, who, while you were away, hit a great second shot into 14, and he's got a 5-footer, maybe less, for a birdie. Clark, wrong club off the tee, half a club short. This for a 2. Get up. The final match. Clark, 4 to par. Yeah, it's a good putt. He's holding out well. And a 3 at that hole, let me tell you, is always a good result. Runs along the banks of Loch Lomond. It's called the Bay. Beautiful hole. Back at Tom and Jay's chance. Van der Velde. Not an easy pitch. And he's played it absolutely brilliantly. There was only one place he could land the ball there. He had to get it over the rise. And he played it perfectly. So a 4 for the Frenchman. Right in level par, 1 over for his round today. His 65 on day 2 was a remarkable score because the wind was whipping around the shores here. 22 miles north of Glasgow we are. The weather for a Scottish autumn has been remarkably fine, thankfully, and the course has been presented in immaculate condition. Quick putt. Oh yes, nerves of steel. How well he's played. He's hardly made a mistake today or yesterday. And he moves to 8 under par for the tournament. Well, those back-to-back birdies may well have sealed this maiden tournament tour victory. Thomas Gugler at 17, 9 over par. Had a very good German Open, and that's a great shot. And ooh, the nearest we've seen this week to a hole-in-one at 17, which is played very tough. Long iron, narrow green. Lomas, that was a while ago. Here's Jonathan Lomas having just dropped a shot at 16. He's done what Darren Clark did. Bjorn now leads this tournament by 3 shots with just 4 holes to play. Van de Velde is playing partner. Jonathan Lomas has dropped down to 3 under par. Robert Allenby 3 under after 14. Birdie opportunities fast running out, but there's plenty of potential for disaster in the last few holes. Very, very tough. Monty now after that double bogey at 14, he's back at level par. Miguel Martin, he shot a 69 today, good score. Level par total. That's what Colin Montgomery reckoned the winning total might be at the start of the week. Faldo estimated 2 under, so it shows just how well this man has played. Now, difficult tee shot. He looks to have struck that one pretty straight and true. Avoiding the bunker is the key down that left side, and if you do that, it's the perfect position. And he couldn't have placed that one better. So he continues to play immaculate golf and holding up under the intense pressure. He must be feeling very well indeed. Glenn Fruin, short-ish second shot in, off a good tee shot over that right-hand bunker. Don't want to go left with your approach shot. There's a big bank in the middle of the green, big rise, a sort of a miniature valley of sin. And Van de Velde has that gone left. He's hooked it. Ooh, dear. There's definitely a case for compulsory crash helmets for spectators. A bit like cricketers. Now has that stopped before it reached the trees. There is a little bit of room down the left-hand side, but not that much. Lomas. And again, leaving himself with a tricky par putt. Nick Faldo, 7 over par. He's had a poor day today. Good first round, 68, and then a couple of 73s. He was woken by a fire alarm on Friday night in the hotel. Maybe that unsettled him, and he shoots a rather disappointing, a rather flat and uninspiring 77. So Seve Ballesteros won't be too happy. That's very few Ryder Cup points. Of course, he wants Faldo to play his way into the team. Faldo saying he's only going to play around 8 qualifying events, maybe the Scottish and Irish Open next year, the 4 majors. And he didn't do too well in the Longcombe, and not too smart here either. So unless he changes his schedule, Ballesteros will be forced to use one of his wild cards if he wants Val to win the team. Of course, he could win all 4 majors next year. And, well, we'll see. Anyway, here's Allenby. Again, a very, very fast putt, and a great putt from Allenby. Hole, you can see there just how close the pin is cut to the front of the green. So it takes a very good shot to get close. And he pushed the last one from short range. He pulls this one, and that, I'm afraid, is the end of the Lomas challenge. For victory, that is. Still having a mightily good tournament and a superb round, even though he's dropped a couple. Monty. Oh, yes. Such a helter-skelter, in it went. Monty 6 at 14, gets one of them back. Into the red figures again. He's be off to the K Club next week for the Smurfit European Open. Bernard Langer defends there. Now, is that the ball? Oh, Van de Velde. That looks like him. Looks like the ensemble. So he's gone away with that hook. But it's a long second shot. And into the sand, leaving himself with a tricky bunker shot. The pull-out will reveal that he hasn't got much green to play with, and he's playing uphill his third. Steep face on that bunker. Yes, the Irish Tourist Board have asked me to mention the fact that they still have their £100 overseas membership scheme running, so anybody out there wants to join a host of fabulous golf clubs in Ireland, great courses there, as an overseas member, contact the Irish Tourist Board. A PR for the old sod. Now Bjorn from the perfect position. And that'll probably run away down that steep slope. Yeah. Very Augusta-like green here. Would have been a good shot on the second day, because that's where the pin was cut, but he's left himself with about a 40-foot uphill putt. And it is a very steep rise, and the pin isn't too far beyond the top of it, so it'll be tough to get the pace right. Darcy at 17. Loch Lomond. One over par. Eamon shot a 66 yesterday, which said it was about as good as he could play, and that's a cracking iron shot from the Irishman. Attached to Druids Glen, where the Irish Open was played. And what about that for a setting? Just give me a tartan rug and a tin of shortbread and I'll be a happy boy. Sitting on the banks, dram in hand. Now Allenby has had a cracking tee shot. Down 16. Little port burn has to be negotiated now, but the pin well back at 16 today. On the upper level. 18th tee. Now the trouble down here is all left. A great tee shot though. Ross Castle, this hole called. because of the remains of Ross Dew behind the green, the original ancestral home of the Clan Cahoon, on whose estate this course has been built. Van de Velde, this tricky little bunker shot. And he's played it well, but that is a very quick putt for par. First day leader Spence, and that was a bit short and quick and hoiky, and it must be left. Oh my goodness, that is a long way left, and that could be in the bay. I don't think I've seen anybody in there this week. Darren Clark on the 18th green. Sold 2 money-making putts on the last 2 greens. And here's another one. Got it. Well holed. Good performance this week from Darren Clark. He finishes under the card for 72 holes, and that is an excellent display by him. So Clark safely in 69. Back at 15 live with Jean van der Velde, and that is a very good par. An excellent up and down for the second hole in a row. And he keeps the pressure on Thomas Bjorn. It's a 3-shot lead, and while you were away, Bjorn hit that long putt from the lower tier up to within 3 or 4 feet. Lomas at Ross Dew, the final hole, 430 yards, has played tough all week, and a glorious second shot. 2 glorious second shots, in fact, from Lomas and Gugler. Now Bjorn, this for a par, and he creaks for the first time. And that was a big putt for Bjorn. And he's only 2 shots clear now. And Van de Velde will have gleaned some glimmer of hope. By the way, in case you don't already know, the United States of America have won the Solheim Cup, beating Europe by 17 points to 11. That was in Wales at St Pierre. Here at Loch Lomond in Scotland, it's the Dane. 2 shots clear, pegged back by 1. Allenby, 3 under par. Richard Green, the left-handed Australian, and Darren Clark, 1 under par in the clubhouse. Now this 16th, the tee moved further forward for the last, well, all 4 days in fact, because of the easterly wind blowing into their faces. No wind today to speak of, so maybe not playing quite as tough as it was, under a much easier pin position too. But the line and the 2 copper beaches on the right hand side, and then it's a longish second shot over the port burn, pin cut to the back, and no bunkers here. Final match.
Stand still, please.
Good crowds here this week. You could lose people here very easily. Dissipate. People have actually disappeared without trace on this estate. I found a mummified 4,000-year-old body in one of the marshes here, and Tom Weiskopf almost joined him. Now Van de Velde getting the honour, and sort of a match play situation, getting the ball in play and a good position off the tee. Just increases the pressure of the tourniquet and the psyche of Thomas Bjorn. Very polite this week, the marshals have been. Polite and efficient. Now Bjorn, he lets one rip. Tongue comes out. And it's a fine tee shot. So Bjorn 2 shots clear. One of my colleagues here this week, Steve Beddoe, of course, you've heard him on Eurosport many times, working for another channel here, and was taken out by boat this morning to one of the remote islands on Loch Lomond to do some filming, because apparently, well, not apparently, it's true, there are wallabies on one of the islands out here, brought to the island 25 years ago by a Scots lady. And Robert Allenby, I thought they should have brought the wallabies out into the Allenby Gallery, because of course he's an Australian and would have given him a bit of support from the homeland. But they've left them on the island. Probably hard to control. Jonathan Lomas has dropped 2 shots in a row. Quick putt? No. Nice short putting has let him down in the closing stages. And that score could very easily have been 3 shots better. Course record is 65, but still a smile and a good performance all round. Lomas 2 under par and leads in the clubhouse. Now Colin Montgomery had a glorious second shot into 16. He's birdied this hole the last 2 days. Day 2 almost holed out for an eagle. And 3 in a row. And 2 birdies in a row. So the disappointment of hole 14, almost forgotten.
Stand, please.
Well, Monty has a good memory. Allenby stays at 1 under par for his round today, 3 under for the tournament. 4 shots back. Yes, Europe took a 9-7 lead into those singles today at St. Pierre and lost the singles 10-2. Only Annika Sorenstam won. She beat Pat Bradley 2-1 in the top match. Halves for Neumann and Nicholas, but a body blow. Michelle McGann's 3-2 win over Laura Davis. Now you're looking at the 17th, the Bay. Jamie Spence managed to find it, I think, with his tee shot here. And the pin in a difficult position in the front quarter of the green. The bunker, that first bunker left, is not a place to go because you've no green to play with and it's all downhill to the pin. Although Charlie Green, playing as a marker with Michael Campbell today, played a glorious bunker shot from there, almost holed it, the old master. Former Walker Cup player, many times Scottish amateur champion, now 64 years of age, but still able to play good golf. So Alistair and Monty between them make their selection. A couple of players already have misjudged this tee shot, leaving the ball right on line but short. And not the place to be. Good test of a sand play in a moment. Van de Velde, good spot to come in from. Has he come off at a fraction? Yes, he has. And that so often happens when you do that. The ball just not flying as far and coming up short, and he's got to go up that ridge. And the leader, Bjorn. Well, definitely signs that tension is getting to him. Understandable, he's never won on tour. A rookie season Challenge Tour winner last year, won 4 times on that circuit. And you have to be a mighty fine player to win the Challenge Tour, let me tell you. So Bjorn, 2 shots clear, 3 holes to go. It looks like it's between him and Van de Velde for the title. The 17th hole, the Bay, the par 3, final round of the Loch Lomond World Invitational. Eamon Darcy, 1 over par for the tournament. But a rather individual swing of his, and let me tell you, it works pretty well. So Darce, he's going to have a good tournament. Now, back at the sharp end, Bjorn looking to save par, and he's played that pretty well. It's an excellent shot from there. The rough on that side of the green is pretty heavy and clinging. There's been an occasional light shower today, so that rough is damp. It's been bone dry the last 3 days. Not much rain in Scotland for the last month. Greens are firm and fast. But it's a nerve-wracking 2.5 feet he has left. Now, Van de Velde could hold that one. It would change this tournament right the way round. Now, Monty, I think, looked as if he was plugged in that bunker, and if he was, that was a very good result. So all he could do, not much control over the ball. What a sight that is, though. Loch Lomond, Ben Lomond away to the left, 3,192 feet. And good vantage point from which to watch the tournament. A pair of strong binoculars, or might need a Hubble telescope, to be honest. Watch the whole tournament for free. See every hole. Van de Velde for birdie at 16. Good putt. Ooh, great putt from Van de Velde. His putting the last few days, after a tip from the wife Brigitte, has improved immeasurably. Now the leader to retain 2-shot lead. Oh, and this time there's no mistake. That is a big putt by Bjorn. It might have looked fairly simple, but I can tell you at this stage, nothing is easy, especially when you're looking at a winner's cheque of £125,000, and also the Sir James Cahoon Trophy, which they're playing for today, and it is magnificent in its own right. Montgomery for a par at the 17th, and right in the middle. Good putt, Monty. And the Scotsman in front of his home fans, warmly appreciating his efforts this week, and he will increase his lead at the top of the order of merit. Ian Woosnam, bit of back trouble again this week, has found his rhythm affected by that and hasn't had a great tournament. Now, Allenby hit a quite majestic tee shot here to 17. No. His putting this week hasn't been that good, and yet he's still 3 under par. He's missed a lot of holeable ones. Great talent, Allenby, and has had a quite fantastic season. So 2 holes to go for the final 2 ball of Van de Velde and Bjorn. It's just 2 holes left, but really an awful lot can happen yet. It's that sort of golf course. So Jamie Spence knocked one onto the beach. Or the lake, the Loch Shores it should be, and Van de Velde helps Bjorn mentally by putting the ball into a difficult spot in the bunker. At least he's got a lie, unlike Montgomery. But Bjorn, if he's checked the leaderboards, he will know that the only real challenger is the Frenchman. So anywhere on the green. 185 to the front, 195 to the pin. Cries a good shot, but he may have come off that just a touch. Well, it's happened quite a lot here today. Ball coming up short, but no problems. Straightforward pitch and run. And neither caddy nor player can believe that they got the yardage so wrong.
It's not short, it's close. Not short.
One of the best drivers of the ball in the world. Finds another fairway with a perfect tee shot. Pin cut right in the top level today. Certainly in terms of winning the Order of Merit for fourth year in a row. It's looking good for him now. He was chatting this morning on the practice ground when I was watching him loosen up with Peter Oosterhuis, the man whose record he will equal if he wins the Order of Merit this year. And there's an obvious respect between the two players. Give that one a crack of the whip. And that is a long tee shot. Those bunkers down the right hand side, fairly deep. First one is certainly. And Tom Weiskopf, who designed this course, managed to hook his tee shot on the first day into the loch. And there's Rostu Castle behind the green. But off a good tee shot today. It's a fairly straightforward second shot in. Darcy rolls up his birdie attempt. And a good tournament for him, and he's been round on the tour now for a quarter of a century and still performing pretty well. 72 today, 1 over par, and that's his total. Bjorn. Oh, what a beautiful shot that is! Oh, that would surely have wrapped things up had it dropped. What a great golf shot. Exquisitely judged. Under the most intensive pressure for a man in his position. 25 years of age. A fledgling on the big tour. And to win your first tournament on a golf course as tough as this, well, proving that he is a very fine prospect indeed. Latest in a long line of Scandinavians who've come through in recent years. Now Van de Velde, his problems are much more acute, but he's played a very good bunker shot. Yeah, that's a great shot. looking as if they're out playing in a Sunday Nassau or club match play or something. They seem so composed and so much in control. Jimmy Spence. His 67 on day one was a course record. Van der Velde beat that with his 65. Darcy had a 66. Some great scores around here. But Van der Velde 65 and the winds of Friday afternoon was something to behold. The best round of his professional career, he said. Nobody would argue. So par 3 for Van der Velde. And still 2 shots behind Thomas Bjorn, but we've seen plenty of 6s down the last. We've seen plenty of birdies. And Thomas Bjorn has a very difficult stretch of Scottish countryside to negotiate. As I mentioned earlier, the players playing for the Sir James Colquhoun Trophy, the Loch Lomond Trophy, a replica of Rossdhu House, the ancestral home of the Clan Colquhoun since 1773, Georgian times, and that is currently being restored to reflect its own original Robert Adam-inspired splendour, and what a clubhouse it is. And Monty Nuts finished on the wrong side of that slope, so it's a good shot though. Allenby off a long tee shot, perfect position. Playing for the minor placings now, I fancy. Well, the minor placings are worth a few quid. That's a good shot. Uphill putt. There's just 2 matches left on the course. The leader is 2 shots clear on the last tee. The final round, the final hole, in fact, of the Loch Lomond World Invitational, and Thomas Bjorn has hit an absolute ripper off the 18th tee. As I say in Northern Ireland, a quare scalp. And he's miles down the final fairway. Jean van der Velde also hit a good tee shot. So it's looking good for the Dane. The headline writers will be busy now. Bjorn free, Bjorn again, Bjorn to win. Montgomery with a difficult putt, a swinging putt on 18. Look at that for a setting for a golf hole. And it's a good looking putt. Yeah, fine putt from Montgomery. So, big favourite, obviously, with the fans here in his home country. Dunhill Cup defence coming up soon, of course, for the Scot. Fine performance. Now, he reckoned that around level par would win this tournament. He's finished 2 under. Better than the goal he set himself, but he's not going to win. He's going to lose by quite a few. 70 today. But as usual, very, very consistent. Winner in Crosshair Share. Longcombe Trophy. Played so well in defence of that. Losing out, of course, to Jasper Parnevik on a raid from America. Plays the tour out there these days. Now, Allenby for a birdie. Looks good. Allenby completes yet another successful week. Big money. Apart from first place, 83,000 for second, 47,000 for third, 37.5 for fourth. So Allenby pars 18. And a fine tournament. Like Monty, a 70, 3 under par total. But the winner is in the match behind. Will it be this man? Well, he needs a 3 if he's to have any hope, I think. Good balance. And a great shot. Oh, yes, and he's given himself the chance. So if Bjorn is prone to this sort of thing, a little negative thought could creep in. If he drops a shot and Van de Velde holds that, it's a playoff. But he's hit a huge drive. 20 yards past Van de Velde. Going through his normal routine, not delaying, taking too long over the shot. Ah, what a shot. Oh my goodness, that's a magnificent shot from Bjorn. Absolutely sensational from the Dane. He can afford a smile now, I think. That must surely have wrapped up the Loch Lomond World Invitational. The way he's handled himself over the last couple of days has been exceptional. And we may be seeing here the arrival of a real talent in world golf. So the first prize of £125,000 destined to go into the hands of this man, 25-year-old from Silkeborg in Denmark. Well, a richly deserved reception for both men from this large and, of course, knowledgeable Scottish crowd. They know their golf up here. Home of golf. What a golf shot this was, considering the circumstances. A good shot in any conditions, but when your first tournament victory is riding on the quality of one shot, perhaps. Well, that was brilliant. Van de Velde, pretty certain of finishing second. Which he's done already this season, second tournament. The Heineken Classic in Australia, which Ian Woosnam won. Fast putt, very fast, right in the middle. What a finish. Jean van der Velde, 6 under par. Three glorious rounds of golf from him. It's hard to believe he started with a 75, and yet on a course of this toughness finishes 6 under. Now Bjorn has 2 putts to win. The motto of the Clan Cahoon, on whose land this course is built, is "If I can." And Bjorn knows now, well, if I can 2-putt, the trophy's mine. Perfect lag from 5 feet. And victory. A round of 70, 1 under par, shot 68-70 under the most intensive pressure. And very few players here who know the game would have believed that anyone could shoot 7 under par for 72 holes round here. Such is the severity, the toughness, the magnificence of this golf course. I just shook hands there with Lyle Anderson, who owns this course, whose idea it was, and oh, what imagination he had. The lone piper in the shadow of Rostu Castle. It's been a great tournament at a great venue. The end of the first Loch Lomond World Invitational, but no doubt we'll be back. Thomas Bjorn is the inaugural champion. From me, Mark Robson, bye-bye.
The PGA European Tour was brought to you by Volvo.